Hey guys, today we're gonna review one of the most best action movie of all time. Enjoy, and please subscribe and like the video. John Wick strikes a wall with an SUV. He exits the car stumbling, covered with blood and wounds. He applies pressure to a gastrointestinal injury. He pulls out his phone and watches a video of his wife Helen on the beach while he crouches to the side. John sags and closes his eyes. Several days before, John awakens to a cloudy day. He had flashbacks of the time he spent with Helen, his wife, before she passed out in his arms lately. She suffered a disease that ultimately took her life. The day of her funeral has arrived. John's old acquaintance approaches him to express his sympathies after the ceremony. That night, a delivery arrives for John. It's a small beagle. John finds a note from Helen. She wrote to him that she has made peace with her death, and now she wants John to find his. John weeps. He takes the dog out and looks at its collar, which has a flower on it, leading John to figure out Helen named the dog Daisy. Daisy rides along with John as he drives about in his Mustang. 3 Russian mobsters, including Yosef Tarasov, the son of crime boss Vigo Tarasov, stop for gas at the same time as him. Yosef approaches John's automobile, compliments it, and then inquires as to the asking price. "It's not for sale," claims John. Then, Yosef abuses John in Russian, thinking that he won't understand, but John shows him wrong by speaking in a low voice. Yosef then tries to pet Daisy, but John frightens him off. Daisy wants to use the restroom as John gets ready for bed. When they descend the stairs, John is confronted by 2 shadowy figures, one of whom strikes him in the head with a bat. He begins thrashing John while Daisy whimpers. The dog's neck is broken by one of the males who approaches her. Yosef, who knocks John unconscious, is revealed when the man removes his disguise. Later, when John awakens, he walks up to his deceased pet and strokes her head. Yosef takes John's car to a shop run by. Aurelio immediately recognizes the car and demands to know where Yosef got it. Yosef brags about who he stole the car from and that he killed this person's dog. Aurelio slugs Yosef in the face. Yosef storms out, saying he'll take the car to someone else. Later, John comes by the shop and asks if Yosef came by, and Aurelio gives John his name to confirm that's who took his car and killed his dog. Even later that night, Vigo calls Aurelio to ask why he struck Yosef. Aurelio says because he stole John Wick's car and killed his dog. Vigo simply replies, "Oh." John, in the meantime, enters the basement with a sledgehammer and starts busting the floor apart. He uncovers a cache of gold money and weapons. Yosef and Vigo discuss the problem in Yosef's home. He strikes his kid twice in the solar plexus to correct him and remind him of the person he just hurt. Yosef is informed by Vigo that John Wick formerly worked with him before he met Helen and left. According to reports, John was known as the Boogeyman, or more specifically, as the one who was brought in to slay the Boogeyman. To try to settle the problem, Vigo contacts John, but John cuts him off. Vigo sends a team of 12 hitmen to John's home that night to kill him. John dispatches all of them with relative ease, fighting with the last few before stabbing the last guy through the heart. A police officer knocks on the front door. John greets him by name and asks him if there's been a noise complaint, and the cop says yes. He asks if John is back in the business, referring to the body visible behind John. John says he's just sorting some things out. The cop wishes him well and leaves. To clean up the area and dispose of the remains, John calls in a cleaning company he has worked with in the past. They appear to know that this is not the last time they will assist him. In order to do business, John stays at the Continental Hotel in Lower Manhattan. He is aware of Perkins. John meets another old buddy, Winston, the manager and owner of the Continental. When John inquires, Winston replies that Joseph is present in a bar named Red Circle. John enters the nightclub where Yosef and his friends are having fun. Yosef is enjoying a night of champagne and ladies at a posh Russian bathhouse when John first murders one of his thugs and enters the club's basement. When they see John, he starts firing at them, and Yosef flees. John takes out every hitman in his path, but Yosef escapes in a getaway car, and John loses track of him. One of Vigo's guys wounded John with a bottle in the club. He goes to the Continental to have the gash in his side sewn up. John is warned by the doctor that if he exerts himself, his stitches can come undone. John claims he is covered for the painkiller portion of his rehabilitation. Marcus climbs to the roof of the structure across the street at night and fixes his sights on John as he sleeps. He observes someone arriving in the mirror. To warn John, he fires a shot. This is Perkins. John dodges her shots as she begins to fire at him. She informs him that if she violates the hotel's regulations and murders him, Vigo has increased the contract to $4 million. He struggles against Perkins until he puts her in a headlock and offers her compassion in exchange for information. She informs John that Vigo stores the majority of his riches in a church's basement. In exchange for one of the gold coins, John knocks Perkins out and leaves her with Harry, a business acquaintance. John visits the chapel where Vigo stores his cash and business records in secrecy. John demands the priest show him where the vault is after killing the other guards in the cathedral. He dismisses the female employees of the vault and sets everything on fire. Harry keeps Perkins cuffed to a chair, unaware that she has dislocated her thumb to slip out. She gets out and puts a pillow over Harry's face before shooting him. Just before being hit by a shower of bullets, Vigo finds out about the fire thanks to John. Despite killing the majority of Vigo's men, John is dragged to the ground as one SUV collides with another, knocking John unconscious. When Vigo arrests him, he questions why the man would go to such extremes to exact revenge over a dog and a car. John explains to him that Yosef stole the puppy, which was a gift from his dying wife. Additionally, he warns Vigo that failing to hand Yosef up to him will result in his death. He is left with Vigo's goons so they may suffocate him with a plastic bag. Marcus, who is observing from the adjacent building, kills one hitman by shooting him in the head so that John may kill the other. Vigo's getaway car is shot at by John, who thereafter is the only one left alive. Yosef is hiding in a safe place in Brooklyn, and Vigo feels compelled to inform John of this. The safe house is guarded by armed men, but none of that stops John from killing them and storming the place. Yosef once again tries to make a run for it, but John catches him and finishes him off. Vigo sends his goons to locate Marcus at his house in retribution for Yosef's passing and for failing to murder John. They thrashed him there until Vigo and Perkins fatally shot him. John finds Marcus's body and sets off to take down Vigo. He finds the villains heading to the chopper and tries ramming into them with his car. Vigo makes Avi go out and kill John, only for John to ram into him with his car. Vigo tries to push John's car over the edge, but John gets out safely. The two then fight hand to hand in the rain. Vigo tries to stab John, but John pushes the blade into himself, to gain leverage to break Vigo's arm, before grabbing the knife, from his stomach, and sticking it in Vigo's neck. He leaves him to die. Returning to the opening scene, John is still bleeding. He feels motivated to continue after Helen and him watch the video. He enters a dog shelter to treat his stabbing wound. The two of them then go for home as he is carrying a pit bull puppy. The end. Please subscribe for more movie.